I was invited to compete at the Chetwynd International Chainsaw Carving Championship in British Columbia, one of the top chainsaw carving competitions in the world. For months, I thought about what I was going to make, knowing that I was up against some insane competition and that I would have an opportunity to work with the most amazing wood that I've ever encountered before. I worked with an aerial coach and choreographer model named Michele Frances to capture poses for my sculpture, the Aerialist.
This is Michele Frances. She has been doing aerial arts for how long?
15 years.
15 years, okay.
Since 2004.
All right, and you've performed, you've done...
I've performed a bunch. I used to live in Seattle where I had a lot of opportunities to perform at cabaret shows, corporate gigs. I had a regular gig at a restaurant down by the waterfront.
How did you get started doing this?
Well, I had always wanted to try flying trapeze, like the traditional, what you think of with the circus, where you're swinging from arm to arm, basically, from person to person. And I got jumped, so I had a broken heart.
Okay.
And
so you had to work it out with...
I had to work it out, and I was working at a hospital at the time, and my assistant, she came and she said, Michele, I kept thinking about you. There was these people on the ceiling and doing all this crazy stuff, and I didn't know what she was talking about, but I was like, it's funny, I've always wanted to try trapeze. And I went that night.
Okay.
And worked with my first coach, Laura Paxton.
What's your dog's name?
Milo.
For this event, we were allowed to bring an assistant to help with some sanding, talking to the crowd, anything that wasn't actual sculpting. I asked my good friend John Bello to be in my corner, and I told him that he might have to do a little bit of sanding, maybe. 3.5 days of hard labor later, he was walking with a visible slouch. Sorry, John, but look what we were able to get done together. At these competitions, no log is exactly the same, so we drew numbers, and I happened to get one of the largest, which I was super excited when I first discovered that until I realized I had to carve all of it. And in the scoring, they judge you based on how well you use all the material, and I didn't want any of it to go to waste, so I was working very hard the whole time. It was sort of an anxiety-ridden race to the end. I even threw up at some point in a trash can. I was so nervous.
Loosen this one and both the other ones.
Yeah, maybe loosen that just a little right now.
And the Aerialist was able to float high enough in the air to where her eyes were level with the eyes of the viewer, which I think really made it more of an impact with the sculpture.
A little bit more shaping here. And then all of the fabric textures, which haven't even been started yet. And the face needs to be finished. And there's a lot to do still.
I've heard from other people that she's currently the tallest sculpture in Chetwynd at 15.5 feet. So even if I didn't place, I was able to break a record, and I'm really excited about that. I feel really grateful to be included in this competition and to be competing against some of the greatest chainsaw artists in the world. And I'm amazed at what John and I were able to get done in only 35 hours.
There's a lot of great carvings. I felt so good not having to work as hard as they did.
This event was very challenging, and it really pushed me, and I feel like after it I've reached a new level in my chainsaw carving career, and I'm incredibly proud.
Subscribe now.